Hello, this is Doris, and together we're going to talk about how to break the excuses of our EPs. So, first of all, an excuse is something, a reason or an explanation someone uses to justify his actions. In ISIC terms, it can be shown as procrastination in some point of the customer flow. So, in this presentation, we're going to focus on the most common excuses and how to solve them. In the first stage, let's say the attraction on a customer can already be interested in the process. So our next step is actually match him. But in this stage, it can, let's say, a lot of procrastination and a lot of excuses popping out of nowhere can be appear. So why does this happen in the matching process? Well, in the first stage of the customer flow, which is attraction, someone can just, let's say, have a look in everything that ISEC does, the opportunities, without committing to the process. But in the next stage, which is matching, you actually have to commit to the process. So you have to start searching for specific opportunities, have interviews, actively try to get matched, and prepare for the journey. So this commitment is what actually matures the idea of the exchange in someone's mind, but can also be quite tricky because, let's say, it can pop some red light inside you that, let's say, will tell you not to do it or make you unsure about doing it. And this will generate excuses, of course. So excuses can affect a whole lot our else's procedures. Well, first of all, it consumes a lot of time and HR, a lot of resources, since we regularly need to focus on some specific individuals. Secondly, it creates a confusion in our KPIs, so we don't actually know if we're doing good, since we don't know if we're going to convert, let's say, all the leads into matches. And thirdly, there is a risk of hurting ISIC's reputation, of course, because if someone remains in this stage for a lot of time, the stage, let's say, before getting matched, but also like interested, it can hurt our reputation since, let's say, people tend to not take the process too seriously. But what is the solution to all of these excuses? Well, first of all, we have to understand that every customer, which is a student, is quite different. So we cannot have a unique, let's say, solution for everything. But what we can do is actually try to understand these issues and help solve them. So imagine that we have an EP that does not try to get matched, and let's say we have to try to understand what is the real issue, and he pops so many excuses out of nowhere. What do we do? Well, first of all, we have to build trust, which is essential in every business or human relationship. But how does this happen? Well, it is a process that involves some specific steps. First of all, you need to show and most important of all, feel genuine interest about the other person. You don't need to talk a lot, but you need to let the customer do the talking so that you can understand his thoughts. You should not mention any, let's say, any specific promotional line that you have in your mind. You mostly need to share personal experiences and your own opinions, since this is what actually matters and wins the trust of the customer. You need to be ready to suggest ways in which, let's say, this exchange can benefit the EP in case, let's say, he's unsure about it or he mentions something that he can gain, let's say, through this process. And personally, I believe that you should not frame it as a meeting, but frame it, let's say, as an open chat, an open talk, because it creates better feelings. After that part of the trust building process, you actually have some hint or some knowledge about the customer's personality. So let's say we're going to talk about the most, let's say, core reasons why people tend to create all these excuses. First of all, we have the comfort zone. Comfort zone is something that we sometimes do not realize that we're into, and it's quite tricky because it can be really hard, let's say, to get out of it. So the traveling part itself is not, let's say, too much of a comfort zone nowadays for a young person, since we can travel like really easily and we know the languages, since English is an international language and everything. Also, volunteering with a bunch of other people and living with them and, let's say, spending time with them is really, really nice. But what is the factor that actually creates a comfort zone in a nice experience? Well, change. Change is something that everyone's afraid of, and we need to understand that people sometimes are not ready to change, and our experiences are actually provoking too much change, so people can be afraid of it. After that, it is financial issues. Well, a lot of people actually have financial issues nowadays, and it can, of course, cause some procrastination since they don't know if they can afford it. And most of the times, they are not the ones to pay as well. So, in that case, uh, you need to inform the customer that the return of investment to his personal growth is quite immense. So, in case he can do it, let's say he can support the exchange financially, it is going to be of a huge benefit. However, be careful because it is an issue that not a lot of people are like too relaxed to talk about, so it can provoke negative feelings as well. Then we have logistic issues. So let's say someone cannot like all the logistics of an opportunity, etc. But this is something that you can easily fix if you, let's say, help him search on the X platform, let's say, the best opportunity for him. Then we have EPs with a bad mindset. So what is a bad mindset? Well, of course, it's not, let's say, something that cannot enable him to participate in exchange. But let's say some students come to, let's say, ISEC and demand a specific opportunity in a specific country, but would not work in this way. So you need to try to explain this, but in case the customer, let's say, insists on his choice or has bad criteria for the exchange, you need to actually consider him maybe inappropriate for an exchange, since it can cause some break realizations or something. And after that, we have the social circle. Okay, so one social circle can actually affect his choice, since, let's say, friends and family can be negative to an exchange abroad. And in many times, let's say specifically family is the ones that actually makes the decision together with the EP. So you need to actually make the exchange participant understand that this is a choice for him and no one else. So if he can do it, he has to do it no matter maybe what others can say. So generally, the excuses creation is a process that actually delays the procedure of analysis, creates a lot of procrastination, but our mission is not to force people into exchanges, but to make sure, let's say, to give them all the tools needed for every student to participate for the correct reasons to the project that best suits him. So in order to help our customer, we need to listen and understand his needs in order to, let's say, understand how to make the correct conversations that will unlock him. The most important tips that you can get out of this presentation is be patient, don't lose faith, since everyone, let's say, needs his time, listen actively, talk generally, and of course enjoy the process. So those are my contacts, and for whoever wants to give some feedback or ask some question, please contact me there. Thank you for your time.